Do you ever wonder what self-sabotaging habits will ruin relationships? Well, I did some research and I found an article on Redbook that shows 40 self-sabotaging behaviors. And I'm only going to share 20 for the sake of time, but I'll leave the link below for you to click on and read the rest. To get more videos on how to take charge of your love life, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. All right, I'm excited to get into this article from Redbook, and I want to share with you, I haven't gone through everything. I am just going to go play by play and go with my gut and tell you how I feel about each one of these thoughts. Number one, you're always looking for an exit. Yes, this is a self-sabotaging behavior. Why? Because I've worked with tons of singles where they're going on dates to scrutinize a person rather than really look at the qualities to see if this person has the same values as they do. And it comes with the fact that maybe, you've been hurt before and you've had your heart broken by a cheater or somebody that really made you lose trust. So what happens is you build this list of what you don't want and you look for that, and rather than understanding what you do want. The problem with this attitude is that, number one, you end up looking for the exit, so you never become vulnerable enough to connect with someone. The second problem is that if you don't know what good looks like, it's the law of attraction, right? You're going to come from a negative place, screening in a negative way, and the only person that's going to want to hang out with you are negative people, because like attracts like. Number two is you hold grudges. Yes! The one thing about relationships is there has to be, don't get me wrong, there are certain things that if someone cheated on you, you're upset, you're going to be angry about it. But the grudge itself, it just only makes you bitter and angry. And if someone cheated on you, it does hurt, but learn how to let go and say, okay, this was an experience that happened to me. And what I'm going to do is learn a lesson from this. I'm going to learn how to let go. The key is to learn how to practice forgiveness and compassion. And I know you're saying, Amy, somebody cheated on me, why would I give them forgiveness? You're not forgiving them. You're forgiving the situation so that you can let go of it, so that you can move forward and bring somebody else in your life that is deserving. Number three is you tell your partner they're crazy. That's absolutely not okay. A lot of people with narcissistic behavior say this to their partners. They gaslight them and they make the person start thinking like, oh my gosh, is it really my fault? When it's really like you have to own your own issues. You're making mistakes. If you did something bad, don't dismiss it and tell the person they're crazy. Own it. Take accountability. Because after a while, people start seeing that behavior and they're like, this person is not, their actions and words do not match. I'm not going to continue to date them. And it's so important to keep your agreement. If you're going to say you're going to do something, follow through. That's how trust is earned. That's how a relationship grows. Number four, you're paranoid. Okay, if you are the type of person that constantly thinks someone's going to cheat on them and you've already made them guilty before they've even done anything wrong, it's going to be hard to date you, right? And I hate saying this, it sucks saying this out loud, but this means you actually have to look in the mirror. And I was a paranoid person when I used to date, so I'm just going to raise my hand there. I was always thinking of when is he going to hurt me? When is the shoe going to drop? And what happened was I started looking in the mirror that I was the common denominator. It wasn't my partner that was all their fault. It was also my fault for picking them and not looking at the red flags and not seeing the issues, right? And when I started working on myself and understanding what a great relationship would look like for me, like my ideal relationship, my picker changed. And because my picker changed, I wasn't paranoid anymore. Number five, you're a perfectionist. Okay, I'm a recovering perfectionist. I totally get it. But yes, you can't be perfect before you date. You can't make your partner be perfect before you love them. Why? Because we're all imperfect. We're all flawed, okay? But that's the part we need to celebrate. Rather than judge each other, we should understand each other. We would be like, okay, maybe my partner is really bad at fixing things and I'm really good at, the tool belt. I'm going to go ahead and take that over. Maybe I'm bad at cleaning the house. My partner can do that for me. And we team up and we complement each other's weaknesses with our strengths, right? That's what a powerful relationship needs to grow and complement each other. Number 6, you're not 100% committed. Oh, I call this the mini marriage, right? This is the relationship that looks like a marriage, that acts like a marriage. Everybody thinks it's a marriage, but when you talk about the deep core values, they're not aligned. They don't, the two partners don't talk about anything deep. It's almost like you're living with a friend. So when you're not 100% committed, you're not going to be all in. And when you're not all in, you're probably not showing the most vulnerable parts of you. And that is very hard to create a relationship and a bond when those two aren't met. You need to have some vulnerability and trust. You compare your partner to your ex. Ooh, that is a self-sabotaging behavior. How many of you have done it? I hope not. But yeah, if you're holding your exes on a pedestal and you're taking your current partner and you're constantly comparing, that means you are not over your ex. You should not be dating this current person, get married to them, or even, stay with them. You should be walking away and probably going to some therapy or some healing for yourself so that you can understand why you're hanging on to that old relationship. The only way you can be present in your current relationship is if you let go of your past, okay? I'm not saying forget it, but let go of it and allow the space to be there for your current partner. Number 8, your expectations are sky high. Yes. I will share with you sometimes when I talk to people and they're like, I know my non-negotiables. I know them so well. And they have a list of 100 of them. That's a red flag, okay? Most of my clients have about 10 to 15, and it's not what you think it is. You might think it's the obvious ones like financially stable or, no addiction. No, there are certain ones that you're unconscious about that you have no clarity around. But the problem is some of you might be screening around superficial qualities like, he's not tall enough or he's too old. I'll give you a little story here. Like my husband is 7 years older than me. Back in the day, I would only date somebody 3 years older, or maybe 3 years younger, and that was my limit on online dating. After my personal journey and the work that I did on myself, I realized I'm like, oh, I am being way too judgmental. I need to open this up. I thought 40 was going to be too old for me. I was 33 when I met him, and no, I was wrong. He was exactly what I wanted the whole entire time. But because I pushed my age limit up to 40, I was able to meet him. 9 is you lie to yourself about how happy you are. Sometimes I hear this statement, it's better than nothing. But is it really? So when we're in a relationship that we know in our gut that's not right for us, it's not good because we're so fearful of being alone, that means we have a little bit of codependency issues. Something that we need to work through, either a therapist. But the key is really to understand sometimes you're lonelier in a relationship because you're not really getting your needs met. You're not really happy. And so if you see yourself rationalizing red flag behaviors over and over again, but in the end, you're in your room crying and you're not fully satisfied, well, then yeah, you're self-sabotaging because you could let go of this relationship. You can find somebody that's really right for you, someone that can fulfill your needs and make you happy and you for them. Number 10, you assume you're on the same page. Yes. Oh my gosh. When it comes to dating, okay, I will tell you, and conflict. What I see is singles will go out and tell people what they want or they need, and they're just making the assumption that the person has the same values as, and then they're going to meet their needs. So what I talk about when it comes to dating is to be a chooser, right? Be the chooser of the type of relationship you want. And the only way you can do that is by actually sitting across from a person, asking them questions, poignant questions, to understand their viewpoints, their definitions of life, and their definitions of your value system. Then you can find out if you both align in those areas. But what most people do is they just talk at you. They don't really ask questions. And because they don't ask questions, they assume too much, and they find out later, this is why the divorce rate is really high, unfortunately, is that people go in saying, I want kids, and the other person never says anything, and they're like, okay, well, this person knows I want kids, so I'm just going to go in and marry them, and then find out later, 2 years down the line, your partner goes, I don't want kids. And you're like, what? I told you I wanted kids. They're like, yeah, but I never said I did. So stop assuming. It's really important that you get your partner's point of view, ask questions to understand their mindset around a specific challenge or something that's a deal breaker to you. 11 is pretty clear. You're cheating, right? I got to tell you, I know a lot of people have told me that they've been cheated on, including myself. I don't understand why you get in a relationship so you can cheat on somebody, but that tells me that the conflict or the challenge is really the person that's cheating doesn't have the ability to be vulnerable and honest, and they're finding ways to stay in the relationship but get their needs met elsewhere, and that's not fair. So that is definitely self-sabotaging behavior, and rather than cheating, I think what's really important is to be honest and take accountability for what you want and actually assert your boundaries and learn how to assert them in a healthy way so that you can get it met from your current partner rather than having to step outside and find somebody else to fulfill it. Number 12, you take everything personally. Oh, yes, this is something that you have to realize, like, if you're so defensive, you're not open to other people's opinions and viewpoints, it's going to be really hard because a relationship takes two people. And if you take everything personally, well, then the other person can't really share their truths with you and be vulnerable. So there's never really a deep connection that will ever foster. So learning how to be more open to feedback and listening to understand rather than to defend. That's going to help you in the process of finding love and getting into a really good relationship. Number 13 is you feel like the victim in all your fights. Ooh, yeah. So I definitely have worked with clients like this where, why me? Why is it happening to me? Honestly, when there is a fight, it's not always the other person's fault. Sometimes it's ours, right? Maybe the way we react. I know for myself, I grew up in a home that my mom is pretty passive aggressive. So my basic response or reaction to something when I'm hurt is to be passive aggressive. I have and still have to work on that habit, right? So I actually am consciously choosing another habit. But when you're constantly the victim and you're not taking accountability for your behavior in the fight, well, nobody wants to be with somebody that makes them feel like they're always the bad guy, right? So it's important that two people come together, own their stuff, and not just say sorry, because when you apologize without change of behavior, that's manipulation. So what we want to do is apologize and come to an understanding of the habit that needs to be changed on both parts and create a new habit. And if you do that together, guess what? There's more harmony in your relationship. You're always late. That's number 14. I don't know. That's a pet peeve of mine. I definitely understand, like, once in a while, but it actually has an underlying tone to it. And I think really the underlying message is that you don't make the other person feel like they're a priority, that you're not considerate of their time. So it's important, like, no matter how much time you need to take care of yourself and make yourself look good, or, get yourself together so that you can show up, that you consider the other person's time. Maybe you set your clock and or alarm on so that you can definitely create a boundary and then get out and meet that person. Number 15 is you tear yourself down. Well, I think this is about being really negative, right? And like we talked about earlier, like attracts like. So if you're constantly sitting there self-loathing and you're not confident, you're not showing your best self, a lot of people aren't going to be like attracted to that. Maybe people that are self-loathing will be attracted to that because, you know, birds of a feather flock together, misery loves company, all that jazz. 16, you want to control your partner. Yes, I've seen this from a female and a male standpoint, and I will tell you, the control, it really starts from your insecurity. If you're trying to control a relationship and you are thinking that if I control this, I'm not going to get hurt, actually, you might get hurt even more, because people that tend to feel controlled feel resentment, feel anger, and they start doing things that, you know, are spiteful. So it's really important to work through why you want to control that relationship so much, and learn how to be more in the moment, be present, and learn how to actually enjoy the relationship rather than control it. 17 is you save your energy for everyone else, but not your partner. Oh my gosh, yes. I had a client that told me she had a boyfriend that did this. At first she thought, oh my gosh, she's so kind and thoughtful, until she started seeing how he treated all his girlfriends, and he treated them just like her, even better. And that really created a lot of conflict. So if you're one of these people that maybe have a block when it comes to your partner, and I'll tell you, I work with a lot of clients where they have great relationships with their friends, but they don't have great relationships with their partner, and they don't really make their partner a priority. What I found, and I don't know this to be true for you, but what I found to see as a pattern is that that person got tremendously hurt in the past. And what happened is they put a wall up, and they've actually compartmentalized the relationship, and realize, like, when they have romantic partners, they treat them this way, and when they have friendships, they treat them this way. And really, when it comes to love and relationships, you want to have a friendship with your partner as well. They should be treated like a priority over your friends. Number 18 is you bring up the past all the time. All right, listen. If you've forgiven somebody, don't bring up the past. Just focus on the present, because the past is the past. Don't compare your boyfriend right now or your husband right now to your ex, to your boyfriends, you know, in the past. It's not fair, because they are different people. They have different values. They are not the same person as your ex. So base your decision on who this person is by their actions, the person you're with right now. That's how you stay present. Everything that you do right now in the present can change your future. So focus on how you too can change your future by doing things that bring you joy, that bring you happiness, and focusing on the values that really matter. Number 19, you're an addict. Yes. This is a massive red flag, whether it be a sex addict, drug addict, alcohol abuse, you know, abuse, period. It is not okay. And it's something that you definitely need to work on. A lot of us numb our pain, and we have a lot of trauma, and we numb it through addictions. So it's important, rather than numbing it through addictions, is finding healthy habits to replace it with. But I definitely recommend getting help, because you can't do this alone. This is going to be very difficult. And this is a habit that you've created and had so long in your life. To break it is going to take more than just your willpower. Number 20 is you use the silent treatment. It's okay to take a minute or a couple hours to process things, but to not talk to each other for 2 weeks and live in the same household, or not talk to each other at all, that's not okay. Okay? This tactic is stonewalling someone and not allowing them to be heard, not having a conversation and really speaking about the conflict at hand. That's a red flag. And definitely, if you're doing this to someone, you need to work on your communication skills. This means to me that there's pain and feelings that aren't being processed, and they're being shut down. And what you resist will persist. So it's important for you to process these emotions so that you can move forward. All right, we hit all 20, and there are 20 more. Listen, it is important for you to click on that link and probably go through the rest of them just to see if there's anything else you can relate to. The whole point is to not shut down your emotions and feelings and be hard on yourself. It's really about opening your heart and realizing there's opportunity for change. And if you need help, you can reach out to me at amiethedatingcoach.com and leave a comment or your question below. I'm excited to hear your takeaways, your thoughts, and again, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.